Welcome back to the Barca Breakdown. My name is Yusuf, and I'm here with my co-host Adam.
What's up, guys? Smash that subscribe button, hit that like button, comment on the video because we just had a barn burner use. A good performance, a disappointing result. Feels like a typical Barca game this season so far, and it just feels like this. I feel like this game and a lot of the season is going to feel like how Dembele has felt for the last few years, where it's just like there's so much potential there, but we don't seem to just put it all together in one game.
Sure, but I mean, we're coming into our first international game after getting knocked out of the Champions League against Bayern Munich, right? We haven't had a lot of international play recently. Some of these players just came in after the January transfer window: Traore, Aubamayeng, Ferran Torres. So really, I mean, from today's performance, I think it was pretty good for all the changes that we've gone through all the upsets. And, you know, a 1-1 draw doesn't really talk about what happened during the game.
And Napoli are a really good team, right? They're third in Serie A.
Yeah, for sure.
Almost higher. You know, I think Xavi said in the pre-match press conference they're a Champions League level team, and I think they certainly are, and I think they will definitely be in the Champions League, hopefully with us next season. Got to shout out the fact that Atletico Madrid just dropped a game to, I believe, Levante yesterday, which is, you know, bolstering our hopes when we come up against Valencia this Sunday. And I think you're right. I mean, should we just get into it, Yus? Because I think the ultimate question of this game and part of, you know, the whole narrative, like, is it a good performance that we're just unhappy with the result, kind of mirrors Ferran Torres in this game, right? Where clearly Ferran Torres missed a crap ton of shots, and not just missed them. He didn't he didn't get it on goal, right? The goalie didn't stop it. The post didn't hit it. He skied a bunch of opportunities, and, you know, in the toxic, polarized Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, social media sphere around soccer and Barca particularly, it's either all or nothing, right? Like, you know, you look at Messi in his game against Real Madrid, he's either like the greatest player of all time, or he's shit, he's washed, he's, you know, nothing. And so I feel like, you know, along with Barca's performance, Ferran Torres was kind of that too today, because he was making a lot of runs. He's got good movement on the ball that we haven't seen in a forward in quite some time. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's not like he missed one or two shots. He probably missed 5 or 6, and that's what cost us the game. And if we don't, you know, advance on from this tie, that's what we'll really look back on, right? Like, we think about the Liverpool home leg where we won, I think 3-1 a few years ago, and everyone remembers Dembele missing that opportunity at the end of the game. If we get knocked out here in the Europa League and we don't have a chance to win it, it'll definitely come back to Ferran Torres and skying all those shots, right? And so I guess my question to you is, how do you rate Ferran Torres? Are you happy? And I think, you know, depending on what you say, that will be it will kind of illuminate how you feel about the Barca performance today.
Sure. I mean, I think he totally had great positioning. He was on the ball. He's actually been on the ball in today's game against Napoli than most of the other performances he's had. So that already is a plus in my book. And then on top of that, he took chances. He was able to move with the ball.
He scored a penalty.
True, he did score a penalty, but he just wasn't clinical. And when I say he wasn't clinical, I don't mean he just couldn't score. Like you said, these shots are just going into the stands. It's just not overall very accurate. I don't know what was going on. He seemed to be very emotional after the game. Yeah. Maybe something's going on in his
crying,
head. But
right?
I would say
he was weeping after the game because he was so disappointed. I don't think it's any personal thing. I think he's just bummed, like we all are, that at the Camp Nou he didn't have the performance we want. And like we were saying, if the goal was 2 times as big, those shots still wouldn't have been on goal, right? Which I think is indicative of a lot of the issue we face. And so if I had to give my opinion on this whole thing, I think I'm overall happy, right, that Ferran Torres had a pretty good performance. Like, he cost us the game and wasn't clinical, but it's just like Barca. Like, this is a team that is getting, like you said, new players involved. We are adjusting lineups. We are, you know, trying to learn how to play in Xavi's style, and it's going to be a work in progress the whole season. And at least Ferran Torres was better, again, like you said, than he has been. Because when we start to look at the starting lineup, with a few surprises I think we should get into, I was not looking forward to seeing Ferran Torres start this game, and he did, right? And so if we look at the lineup, Ter Stegen, then in the back four we had Minguza, Piqué, Eric Garcia, Jordi Alba. Then we had in the midfield Nico, Frankie de Jong, Pedri. Then up front we had Traore, Aubamayeng, and Ferran Torres, right? And so I think as you look through that lineup, there are a few standouts. Why don't you let us know your thoughts about Minguza, about Busquets, and about that front three use?
Sure. So I'll start in the back because Minguza hasn't played at all in the last maybe 5-10 games, whatever it is, and it's just crazy to see that we're coming against the top third team in the Italian league, and we're going to play Minguza, who hasn't played whatsoever. We have Dest. We didn't sign up Dani Alves. So why are we not playing Dest? Dest has had most of the time on the pitch. He's great defensively in general. We have Traore in the front of him to make that offensive play. Don't know why Mingueza is there, and overall didn't think he did a very good thing. But it seems like Xavi listened to us for once. Maybe he's listening to the fans. Busquets didn't start this game, and I was happy with it. We had Pedri, Nico, and Frankie de Jong. They seemed to do pretty good, but I would just say that they didn't have enough passes forward in open play. They seemed to pass around a little too much sometimes or circle the ball. And then in the front, I was actually excited to see Aubamayeng to start. That was something we haven't seen yet. He's been only coming on in subs. And then we had him, Ferran Torres, and Traore. So I thought that would have been good. But I just think he also fell flat clinically. He took a couple shots early, but then seemed to slowly disappear off later in the game. Yeah.
Well, I think my take is, starting at the back like you, I think Mingueza has been bad this season, right? Like we were really stoked on Mingueza, and he worked really well in a back three, basically a year ago for Ronald Koeman. And ever since then, especially in since the season started in September, he's been very bad. He's regressed quite a bit. And so to see him in a big game really makes me just think that Xavi must not rate Dest at all, which seems kind of crazy to me because if you look at the formation we played, I could have understood if we were playing like a 3-5-2 type setup where Mingueza was in the back three. Like I said, he'd been good at that, but we didn't really use that formation too often. I thought we stuck to a 4-3-3 pretty consistently. And the issues with Mingueza surfaced, right? There were a few times where Napoli would just pass the ball around him, and he didn't seem to have the defensive capabilities to stop. And then our biggest threat so far in the new year, 2022, has been Adama Traore, who again had a wonderful game and was able, a pretty good game, and was able to draw a penalty, right, which of course got us the tie. But the reason why Traore didn't have a really, really good game like we've seen in the last few games is because he was kind of isolated. I felt like the Napoli team always had two men on him, and if you don't have a right back, right, like Dest, who can, cause the defense to be worried, then they can just load up two on Traore and kind of eliminate his threat. I think Traore has showed a little bit in this game some of the flaws he's had in the Premier League, right, on Wolves, where he just thinks every time he has the ball, he's got to take on his opponents. And when it works out, you're just so excited because that's the type of player Barca haven't had for a while that we really need. But when it doesn't work out like today and the defense is set up to try and stop him, it can fall a little bit flat, though he did get that penalty. I think my thoughts on the midfield were that, I was interested to see if we had like a double pivot with Frankie de Jong and Nico, but it really looked like for the most of the game, Frankie de Jong was serving as that pivot, that defensive midfielder, CDM. And it was interesting because I love the way the midfield is very fluid under Xavi, right? There were times where Frankie de Jong would drive the ball forward, dribbling it, and then you would see Nico kind of come back and cover for him. Like you said, I thought the midfield did really well. One thing we were talking about before this is that we didn't get to see Aubamayeng use his speed or Traore that often. It's because Frankie and Pedri together, they don't make a lot of long balls, right, either on the ground or in the air to get our wings or our forward running against the opponent. It's a lot of small passes connecting with each other to try and get the ball forward. And so I didn't think we got to use Aubamayeng's speed and his ability in open field or Traore's as well because we didn't really look for a lot of long balls to try and get an advantage with our wingers against the defense. But the one thing I would say is, like you said, Xavi listened, right? Busquets didn't start a big European game, quote unquote, and that was for the best. And I thought the thing that was very appealing to see is one, whereas in years past, Busquets not starting has been really bad for us and our midfield kind of falls apart. This game, Nico, Frankie, and Pedri stood strong and looked pretty good. And then when Busquets came on as a sub, I think he came on in like the 65th minute for Frankie, he did a really good job against tired legs because he wasn't at as big of a risk of having to provide defensive cover for Eric Garcia and PK. And therefore, a lot of his weaknesses as he's gotten older are gone, and his positives were still there, and I thought he did a good job of facilitating the ball and trying to help us, transition from left to right. I guess the only thing I have to think about, right, is the game clearly didn't go well from a performance standpoint, and we've talked ad nauseum about how Ferran Torres didn't put away opportunities that could have really made this, and especially the second half, like a 3-1, a 4-1 game. How did you feel, Yus, about Xavi's substitutes? Because if you look at it, right, 65th minute, we put on Gavi for Nico. We also put on Dembele for Traore, and we put on Busquets for Frenkie. Then the 81st minute, we have Dest on for Minguza, and then around the 85th minute, we have Luc de Jong for Aubamayeng. So looking at that, I have a few thoughts myself, but I wanted to hear your thoughts on the subs and how you thought Xavi managed the game.
Typically, I thought that he should have subbed in a little bit earlier, especially after Ferran Torres scored that penalty in the 59th minute, because I think with the way the game was going, seeing that Ferran Torres was not able to create and score other than that penalty, we needed more on the field to take the lead in this game. I definitely wanted to see Dembele come on, which he did, but a little later. And it would have been good to have Luc de Jong come in at the same time and change up the front lineup, because I think if you had Traore and Dembele on both wings, we're able to cut inside. If we're going to use Luc de Jong as that header guy or that one-trick guy, then why not have two of the best people I can think of on our team in the front, on the wings, to cross the ball in or to create that space to get that Luc de Jong the ball to score that goal.
And dude, Luc de Jong almost had that bicycle kick. He's been trying for so many games in a row to do it, and I was so hoping that bicycle kick went in.
Yeah, but we can't. Although I like it and it is very entertaining, we just got to score the ball, and that's what I'm concerned about.
But he is, like you were saying, Luc de Jong, I kind of agree with you. I thought that the subs were a little bit too late. Especially Luc de Jong. I thought he should have come on earlier. I also thought, Dest should have come on for Minguza. That looked like it clearly wasn't working, probably 20, 25 minutes into the game. And so I do think Xavi needs a little bit more.
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe it's hubris. Maybe he thinks that the lineup he set at the beginning and the chances he's taken, he wants to see that through because he's hoping it will result in a victory. And then, he'll get... I'm not going to say he wants adulation, but he'll get, pride in his own strategy for it working out. But I think sometimes these strategies aren't working out, and we need to be quicker in our adjustments, right? And so I thought Busquets on was great. I thought putting on Dembele was great. It's just a matter of who we take off and who we put on. Like you said, I thought Ferran Torres should have been gone earlier, and I thought Luc de Jong should have come on and possibly also take off Traore. So I was, hit or miss. I think Frenkie de Jong as well, taking him off was a little bit, I don't know, questionable. I even though I wanted Busquets on, I think maybe if we put on Busquets for Nico, that could have beget some more success. Although, we're getting to the point now where Gavi and Nico are so good that wanting them on the field, we're going to have to take off Pedri or Frenkie or Busquets. And so, we're just seeing kind of the development of a hard situation because of how many blessings we have with that young midfield. I'm trying to think, Yus. I think that's all I have to talk about. Were there any more points you want to cover?
The last thing I want to say is, you fans out there, stop booing Dembele coming onto the pitch, because he's doing a wonderful job when he comes on, and we need him as long as we can have him. We're in a tight race in La Liga. Champion or Europa League is not over with, obviously, so we have plenty of room for him to play, and he's doing really well. Don't give him that negative energy, because he wants to play for Barcelona in some capacity, because he's still coming on the pitch and performing very well. But that's amazing, all I really want to say.
Like, Dembele is really a I'm a big Dembouz fan. I say it almost every episode. I really want him to re-sign. But he's just so clearly our best offensive player. Like, he just adds a dynamism and a speed and an ability to get the ball off his feet that is just so much different than even Traore or, of course, Ferran Torres or Aubamayeng or any other forward we have. And every time I see him play, you can just tell that the opposition and the Barca team want to see him with the ball. Because he just, I feel like we're always at the end of those games when he comes in as a sub, funneling it to him because of how much he creates. And, one interesting point that you mentioned, Yus, I think earlier today, is that, Dembele has taken on a different role now without Messi. Like, without Messi giving, these incisive passes that Dembele can run onto, Dembele has taken a bigger role as a facilitator, and he's getting so close. And I just really think that Dembele and Luc de Jong playing for more than 20, or in this game actually only 5 minutes at a time, is going to beget us a lot of success. So I agree with you. I really hope, I'm like someone who's gotten broken up with but still clinging on to hope. I'm just hoping that somehow Dembele will sign on and be very happy with the season, but maybe not. All I know is I really want everyone to hit that subscribe button, click that like button. Let us know in the comments your thoughts. We'll be back here on Sunday after that early Valencia game, so we will see you guys all then. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.